Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. Just really quickly to let you guys know, if you ever want to join us in the future, you can do that by checking out the Patreon at patreon.com/LibriLabra, where there are a bunch of different perks that you can sign up for, but one of them is the book club VIP, and you would then be put into a rotation where you can select books and the whole community votes on them. You get a custom bookmark, you get to be part of our exclusive Facebook chat, and a couple of other things. I also wanted to mention that the book that we're reading today is Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion, who also has a Patreon. And you can check that out at patreon.com/Isaac Marion. He has lots of cool perks, one of them being the fact that if you sign up, I think even at the most basic level, you get a past life zombie bio, which is really cool. So I would recommend checking it out regardless, maybe hitting follow on it and following on some of the cool things he's posting over there.
After you get yours, I think I want him to tell me what I did in my previous life as well.
Maybe I could just pay extra, just be like, do my husband too. So we are discussing Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. These are the two different, this is the original hardcover and then the movie cover, because the movie is based on the book, which a lot of people don't know. Also, it is part of a series, which is...
Warm Bodies is a series.
Warm Bodies is a series.
If you guys are a fan of the movie, I understand, but the book is like, everybody says that the book is better than the movie, but this is literally like, there's an exponential level to how much better the book is than the movie. So
the movie just took a different take. I think it was just trying to target a different audience.
Okay, I didn't make that noise. I'm sorry.
I mean, I enjoyed the movie. The movie was enjoyable.
It was good.
And I don't think I would have wanted to pick up the book had I not already seen the movie. So, but I do definitely like.
Well, that is also why Warm Bodies was a choice of mine. After watching the movie in the past, I was like, that movie, it was all right. It wasn't amazing, but it was all right in my eyes. And then she read the entire series.
No, I'm still reading the last one.
Oh, okay. So, but it's just going from one book to the other in the amount of time that you have. And then joined us to reread this time around. It's just, as I'll read the book. Let's find out what's going on here. And she spent quite some time doing some research on it and hunting everything down. So that's why we're reading it this month. Is that I'll read it. We'll just add it to the list for the meeting, and we'll go from there.
So before we jump into spoiler territory, I'd like to get just a little bit of feedback from everyone in regards to what their initial thoughts were. And Tom, I'd love for you to start.
I was surprised by this one. I thought it was very cleverly written on a really, really overused trope. I think what drew me in was the first part of the book where he describes the setting and the character and how this world works. I thought was an interesting part of it. So that was my initial thought.
How about you?
I don't remember my initial thought, like back in however long ago it was that we started this mission, but I agree with the overused trope. Like, I mean, I'm tired of zombies myself. I mean, but Isaac has definitely found a way to twist that story into something special. Different.
I think, I had seen the trailer, I watched the movie, and it took a while before I heard it was a book. And then I didn't go seeking it out or anything. I actually accidentally stumbled onto Isaac Marion's Twitter. And so I started following him and I was like, oh snap, that's the guy that wrote Warm Bodies. And just kind of getting a feel for his personality and stuff like that, it made me want to pick up the book. But I remember reading the first page and being like, whoa, it just was not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting it to be so well written, so clever, so deep. It just felt like a very personal book. I mean, I think it's kind of wrapped in zombie, but I think it goes so much deeper than that. And I read like the first chapter and I was very, very impressed, but then I put it down and I kind of didn't revisit it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I finally did read it, I was like, wow. And I went ahead and like read a few of the others, and I'm still working my way through the last one. But to me, it kind of felt like the author took his heart out of his chest and kind of spread it like across the pages. Like clearly he was working through something when he wrote this, is how I felt about it. It didn't feel like I was reading a made up story. I felt like I was just reading an experience of like the human condition and things that we go through and stuff like that. So those are my initial thoughts. I guess now we will jump into spoiler territory. Again, the book is a bit different than the movie, so if you watched the movie and you enjoyed it, I definitely suggest picking up a copy. Also, he self-published the last book, so there's only about 3,000 copies available of that. I don't think it's going to be republished, so if you're going to get all the books in the series, I suggest doing it now.
Yeah, pretty soon.
So I know we were talking a little bit about the parallels of this story to Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
We were talking about that earlier. I don't think he necessarily started out with that intention. I'm sure at some point he was like, I guess it kind of does have that.
At this point in literature and history, I don't think it's easy for someone to like, you can actually probably write an entire story and it can still be compared to Romeo and Juliet, even without them trying. Like if they didn't even think, wait, all these things. If you're looking for connections, they'll be there. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not sure if this was. It's an easy hole to fall in, really.
Yeah, but when you have a balcony scene,
Yeah.
in the middle of the movie,
We did
That's
that
kind of a
earlier.
giveaway.
We talked about it. I was like, they even had a balcony scene. Jesus, that's exactly what I said.
yeah.
I mean,
Because of course it's like, because of course they did, yeah. But
Yeah.
Plus R of course is Romeo,
Right.
Juliet. M is Mercutio, who happens to be whatchamacallit's best friend, Romeo's best friend.
Perry.
And Nora, the nurse, is Juliet's nurse.
Yep.
So yeah, I think he started. This was, I think, more toward the beginning that he started this. And
no, you can definitely tell the intention was there. But I'm just saying, it's not too easily blamed, or it can be too easily blamed in other situations.
No, I would, because I was under the impression that from what Desirai was saying, that she thought that it was later in the process.
I don't think he started off wanting to retell the Romeo story, but I think when he noticed it, he was like, let's just throw in some more stuff then.
Yeah. Because what came through to me was, I knew there was going to be a romance, because of course that's what we're here for, but more along the lines of when the play opens as two households alike in dignity, this is what we have. Yeah, we have essentially the Capulets and Montagues, and neither of the twins shall meet. So,
so do the Bonies actually fall into that somewhere?
No, they're in the middle somewhere. Well. At the beginning, of course, the Bonies and the Adet are the same house, let's say, and then
it's a different part of the family.
Yeah, different branch. We don't talk about them much. No, it's the kind of thing where they saw that all of a sudden, there's this transformation occurring, and hey, maybe we don't have to be enemies. And, no, we have to be enemies. And that's the way it's always been. We've always been enemies, so that's what I got from it, like right from the start. So
there's romance in almost everything, but I felt like it was different because it felt a little bit more natural, I think, as natural as zombies can feel. But to me, the story wasn't necessarily about falling in love with like another person or another human. It was just about the idea of falling in love with life again, with the beautiful things in life, which, you know, love and human connection and things like that. So I liked that even though there was romance, it wasn't super heavy. It's not like they immediately fell madly in love and were all over each other. Well, you know, I guess there was the dangers of potentially catching the plague, but
how they addressed that was kind of ridiculous. Wait, if I kiss him, will I turn? What? I mean,
wait,
I guess it's
here in the book. Are you talking?
Wasn't it in the book?
she does say it in the book.
Okay.
She asks him, she's like,
Well,
"Are
that's
if I
a natural
kiss you, will I
question.
turn?"
You know?
I guess the sheer thought of kissing a dead person. I mean,
But that's the thing. He sells it and he makes it believable, and that's what's incredible about the book, I think.
right.
Because this could have gone south in so many different ways.
Oh
but
yeah.
he pulls it together.
There's actually quite a few scenes that I could say that were done well enough to where, like, wow, if something was slightly different that would have been very bad.
Right.
I wish, like, I don't know, I don't think I highlighted as much as I would have liked to, because I think I just went on Goodreads and started liking different quotes or whatever. But I know there's one that kind of opens up the book where he's talking about the airport and he's talking about those confined spaces that they're in. And then he starts describing outside of the airport where, you know, there's nothing around them. And he was like, I imagine that's what real death would be. This vast openness and the gaping maw of the sky. And like, I was just like, wow. So that was pretty intense. Everything he described was pretty intense. And, you know, obviously it's comedic that the zombie is having all these reflective thoughts and he can't express any of them.
Right.
That was one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. Not only is he able to describe so much with so little,
right,
but he does it also from a zombie's perspective when you're thinking of it, like the zombie's thinking and has all these intricate thoughts, but can only express one or two syllables at a time. And that was done really well.
Yeah, he actually addresses that. I have it highlighted here. There is a chasm between me and the world outside of me. The gap so wide my feelings can't cross it. By the time my screams reach the other side, they have dwindled into groans. So,
Wow. So, and that's kind of what I felt like I was doing the entire time I was reading the book. It was just like, wow. And there are, you know, not to jump in, like, I hope both of you will continue the series.
I want to, just because
I'm
curious to how everything pans out and how he handles the rest of the story after the fact, because that's kind of important. I mean, if it's planned on being a multi-book series, I just want to know where he takes it specifically, or if it's all tied, or if it's the first one worked so well he decided to keep writing, because that's sometimes that just kind of like it takes it down a notch.
I just know that when I was reading The Burning World, there was a few paragraphs that I read where like it just brought tears to my eyes because the words were just so powerful.
Okay, well, good.
So there's something else.
It makes me think I have a high process. I'm excited for it then.
But John was wearing a red shirt earlier, and we got into this whole conversation about what R is wearing, because he does describe that in the beginning, and I don't think John remembered. Do you remember the outfit that R is described in? So R is described as wearing like a
business casual.
Yeah, with a red tie.
Yes.
And you know, so that's a really big change from the zombie here that's wearing like a hoodie and jeans and stuff. And so he kind of makes it sound like R was this corporate person that just kind of got lost in the everyday of going to work. Yeah, the zombie shuffle, sure. Of going to work and doing the same thing and just, you know, having the life sucked out of you.
To that end, why they had so much music in this? why the hell did they not use Jonathan Coulton's "Read Your Brains"? Because that would have been perfect for this.
I was wondering because a lot of the music seemed pretty old, so I was wondering what that was all about.
It's mostly Frank Sinatra and Beatle references, though,
I
right?
think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of soul in Frank.
Maybe it was just that, because I assume where he got those records were from the plane or the airport somewhere. So, people.
Well, he picks up
aren't-
stuff when they go to feed too. So he says he's a collector. So
Right.
I really did enjoy the movie quite a bit, just because of certain visual and thematic references. But they changed enough of the movie that it kind of lost a little bit of its luster. But it's still good to watch. So I would suggest checking it out if you're interested. But it's just talking about the fact that he collects things. There was a few points in the movie itself where it made a few good references, like really great nods to what he actually wrote versus just storyboarding it.
I had read the review that you put on Goodreads, and you said there was a couple of parts where you were, I don't remember your exact wording, but you said something about being lost or confused or not. Could you elaborate on that?
That was when R was dreaming, I think. And it was basically like, well, how does this world work? Is Perry actually in his head? Or is he just imagining that, or what's real and what's not? That's what I was referring to.
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, I clearly consuming Perry's brains did something because he was able to see so much, and he was able to basically take Perry's feelings for Julie. So I would imagine. I guess Perry somehow became part of his consciousness, so it's almost like, even though it was Perry's voice, it was still kind of R's voice talking to him, sort of.
Are you saying that Perry just became his internal monologue?
Well, like when you, can you remember dreams?
Slightly.
Okay, well, in your dreams, there's other people in them, right?
Right.
And they talk to you, they interact with you. They're all your subconscious mind.
Right.
They're all you. So even though they may do things that person does, it still all comes from you. So I feel like it's something along those lines.
Okay.
Besides the whole he got Perry's memories thing.
So you say,
like they kind of like
it's
merged.
like dropping Perry into a certain form of inception into his head.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They said that he hears Perry when he's awake as well. So
yeah, he did say that.
There were a few parts where I felt like we were just getting a lot of Perry because it kind of went back and forth in some places. I don't know if it was it wasn't really super clear, but there were some stories in there that I really, really appreciated on the reread. And one was where Perry was talking about his fascination for plants, like that interest. And there's a scene where he's meeting Julie's dad.
Right.
And she's trying to encourage him to talk about the plants. But of course, Perry's like, motorcycles, manly, and he doesn't want to talk about the plants. But I really, really loved the way Julie was looking at everything. And then she, I guess, to try to make a connection or whatever, she starts talking about her dad and how her dad cared for this one specific plant, but he wouldn't admit that he cared for it. And it just felt so human. And I feel like Julie, of course, represents that in the book. I feel like she was most in touch with her humanity in a way that obviously her dad wasn't.
Right.
What do you think?
About the plants?
Yes, about the plants. What do you think about the plants?
I don't know. I just think more about
Do you
more about
remember
her
that scene?
dad. No, maybe a little bit. Was that at a dinner table or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. We actually had started discussing her dad earlier, and I think I got some wires crossed because of the movie, but I don't know. He's pretty detached himself because of stuff he's been through.
I think that was laying the groundwork to show that it was more, though, because he couldn't even say that he cared about the plant. Like, he cared for it. He tried to, like, take care of it. And this was after he didn't want the stupid plant. He didn't want the plant because...
He said he cared for it because his wife wanted it. And then when she disappeared, that was basically his attachment.
I don't think that happened. She just stopped caring for it.
She did?
Yeah.
Like she just
like
stopped?
she fought. She was pissed off that he had picked out everything for that room, and she wanted to have one thing in that room that was hers. And she was just basically like, if we don't have this plant, then I'm leaving you. And so he let her have the plant. And then after it was just there, she just got tired of dealing with it, and she stopped taking care of it. And then he took it over. He took over taking care of it.
Right.
I don't know when you think her mom disappears, but it's not as early as you're thinking.
Right, I guess.
So I had forgotten that Perry slept with Nora.
Oh, yeah.
So revisiting that, I was surprised that she, one, stayed with Perry, but also became and maintained friendship with Nora. Like,
you were surprised by that? Is that because of what the rest of society would expect, or because you're different?
I'm different. I'm surprised because, yes, of the rest of society would not easily.
Oh, because that's a grown-up way to handle that.
No, I think that's very I think you have to really, really be in touch with your feelings, and you also have to have like a certain level of empathy for people.
Understanding, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Julie was kind of superhuman, I felt, in some areas. You know,
No, I mean, I expected more of a reaction out of her when R had to tell her that he ate Perry. But then she was like, I figured that.
Yeah.
I think she had already made peace with that being the case.
Right. Well, it sounded like she made peace with letting Perry go before he died.
That's true.
Knowing that he wasn't fighting as hard as he should have been for life, and realized that he was letting himself go.
Yeah.
Well, but in his defense, though, I mean, Julie herself says all we're doing here is just surviving. We're not actually living.
Right.
We're just here to get, supplies and such and keep existing, but we're not really living. So I think that's what Perry was tracked onto before she did. And, of course, he did something about it. So.
Now, I know we all assume that R's name is Romeo, but the author has actually said that it's not. I think in later books he might give some very, very tiny hints to what his name is.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder why he won't tell anyone. Like, he's basically said, I'm taking it to my grave. I'm not telling anyone what his name is. Which seems, I don't know, unless that's just to get people to buy the other books. I don't know. But I At one point, John jokingly said that maybe his name was Rigor Mortis.
Well,
I was like,
Ben
maybe,
gets a
maybe
name,
that's why he
so
didn't tell
why
him.
not?
Yeah.
Marcus. if I
Yeah.
recall. So
Apparently, Marcus was based on one of his real life friends. And I
not
think
surprising.
Julie started off as someone he knew. But she eventually turned into her own character.
Yeah. Well, you write what you know, and then
Mm-hmm.
so
And I've heard a lot of writers say that though, is when you start out writing something, that the characters end up making themselves.
Mhm.
Like they're writing, going, oh, I wonder what's going to happen, and I'm like, you're writing it, you
Mhm.
making it up. But I mean, I guess it's got to come from some.
But sometimes
External
the muse
source.
takes over.
right. And it could be an amalgam of I guess, of different people. Like, oh, I'll take this and this person, this from this person, this from this person, put it all together, and here we have something new.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the personality and the psyches work.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but one of Isaac Marion's perks is that he is reading Warm Bodies live. He plans on like reading a chapter every week or something like that through the series.
Right.
And I got to watch the video for him reading the first chapter, and like you could tell he hadn't read it in like who knows how long, probably since like it was published. So it was almost like he was reading it for the first time.
Right.
And so just watching him feel that way
Mhm.
about his own work was very, very interesting.
Mhm.
And I think, I've found things I've written and then reread them and been like, who wrote this?
Mm-hmm.
This is so good. Who wrote this? And I
Mhm.
don't remember feeling that way when I wrote it, but like afterwards things change.
Yes. Mhm.
What I don't know, like what just the zombie apocalypse.
One thing I'll note about the book is that at the beginning of each chapter is a Gray's Anatomy drawing of a particular body
Mhm.
part or something. And it was interesting which ones he picked for each part of the book. Because like with wanting, the first part is wanting has eyes and stomach and whatnot. So with hearing and such.
I saw them, but I didn't make any correlation.
Yeah, if you look, like the very first one and taking one is hands. So it's like, yeah,
Interesting.
I would have to think there's a connection there.
So there's definitely more depth than what we've picked up on already.
I have to
Yeah,
go
take
back
a look.
and look
It's just
at
like,
them.
I'm gonna look now.
They are. I know that like he did a live show from his bedroom once, and
Mhm.
behind him he had the Grey's Anatomy
Yes.
thing. What's the word I'm looking for?
Book.
Not the book. It's like it was like a huge poster, but not a
Oh.
poster. It's like something that you would use with a projector. You pull it down.
Mhm.
Why can't I think of that word?
Screen.
I don't know. It was kind of like a screen. It was like a big thing. Clearly, it was used for teaching, but he said it was like from like the 1800s. It was like really, really, really old.
projectors.
Oh, like a chart or something that you pull down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're
so
putting down.
He obviously already had a fascination for that,
Right.
and decided to have them include it in the book.
Okay.
But yeah, as an exercise at some point, look through the chapters and match them. Not that there's an exact match, but I think there was some thought put into what body parts were put into each of the chapters. So
Trying to think. I'm just trying to think of their life like at the stadium. Just especially when I don't remember how they got tipped off that there was a zombie.
Uh,
the rain.
I think they
Are we talking
found
the book.
I think they found the guard that he had bitten had turned already and was trying. And they had found that guard. Outside of that,
Because I thought they had started their search before that. And then they were like, okay, we found the guard and he's been taken care of, but we still can't find the original zombie.
I don't think anybody took them off.
Well, the guard recognized him because of the rain, because remember his makeup was washing off, and that's what started the initial confrontation. And then after they were looking for, who killed the guard, and
I'm sure her dad put it together. He was like, "Who the hell's this Archie guy?"
Okay. So
I'm trying to avoid jumping to the end of the book.
Why?
I guess we could jump back and forth.
Yeah.
So her father's death, I thought was very interesting. He did not I don't know what her exact words were to him, but I think she was like, "Stay or fight, Dad," or something like that. And he was just like, "No." No. And he turn into a bony right away.
Did he? I thought they just slowly ate his flesh.
I thought as he was falling, I thought he turned into a bony right away, because he had already let go of whatever you need to hold on to in order to stay slightly human. All those things had already been gone from him, and when he said no, that was it. That was the final breaking point.
That was him just tossing away his humanity completely?
Yeah, that was him 100% just giving up and being no, I'm done. And so it was instantaneous, as opposed to this slow rot.
Right. I think it's interesting how the Bonies actually tried to communicate with everybody else. Why were they taking pictures of all the trauma happening when it was happening?
What do you mean?
Because when the story actually went to explain why the Bonies didn't want them, they were after her because they knew that she was causing some sort of change.
Goes to both of them, I think, not just her.
Well, right, but
together.
But they tried to explain to them by showing them pictures of what zombies and Bonies do to humans, and it wasn't one or the other. It was actually both. It was the fact that they were showing that humans killed zombies, zombies killed humans, and that's the way it's got to be.
Right.
And then the fact that they had maybe there's got to be some explanation behind them cataloging all of those pictures. They actually kept and hung all the pictures in the specific room that they were in. So I wanted to know more information on that and why. The only thing we can never get out of a Boney, though, was some droning, some hum.
I feel like the Bonies...
They're tonists.
The Bonies, to me, symbolized those in society unwilling to adopt change.
Okay.
Yep.
So, the way we're seeing it now, in politics, people just not wanting to progress, not wanting for things to be different, not wanting...
Stuck in their ways.
Yeah. And I don't think there was any coming back for the Bonies. I'm pretty sure he made that clear. That was the final.
Oh, they're done. They're not going to change. They're not going. The only way to stop their wrath is to get rid of them.
Yeah, the Bonies. Them Bonies. But they were just they were also super fast and really dangerous and very angry. I don't know.
I'll not get political.
Everything is political.
It's true.
But I don't know if the Bonies continue. I would think they still appear in later books. I don't remember. I haven't been paying attention to them. Do you have any things.
Any
that's-
pressing questions?
Not just questions, but things that really stood out to you, or things that you found like really memorable.
Honestly, for me, it was just the way everything was written. It was simplistic in such a way that I understood everything, but there was deeper meaning behind, like, how he put everything together.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I was reading it, there was a moment where it just kind of hit me, and I was like, "This isn't about zombies. This is about depression."
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like, and when I saw it through that lens, that was kind of all I could see.
Mm-hmm.
Just, even the way the zombies are described, just everything being gray and lifeless
Mm-hmm.
and not vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
And the author does mention that while he didn't realize it at the time, that he was definitely going through a depressive thing. So I'm sure writing that book kind of helped
Right.
him see. He sometimes refers to Warm Bodies as slightly autobiographical.
Mhm.
So, but I guess a lot of, not just people who have experienced depression, but a lot of other people have said they felt like it represented different things. I think someone had mentioned that they felt like it was similar to how they feel dealing with autism, and some people mentioned anxiety, and just so it touched a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Right.
And I think those are just those very human threads. Well, I will tell Jeff you
Yes.
keep talking.
Okay, I don't know what point you were going towards, but I was distracted.
Well, did you feel like did you see that
What?
that he was talking about depression?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, plus, like what we said before about, having this whole emotional and intellectual life, but you're unable to express it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to think that his notion, his suffering from depression, kind of informed how he built his zombies in that way. So,
Do either of you have any predictions as to what you think the story might evolve into, knowing that it's a series?
Nope. I actually was curious, like, where can we go after this? I mean, of course, there's other issues to throw at
right.
a budding couple, but outside of that,
I mean, I don't
unless
think
the Bonies come back, but you said that you're not sure they're even mentioned anymore.
I don't think it's not like it was a fairy tale ending, though. It's not like, ours just a human and then all of humanity came back and
Okay,
then
so
that was it.
what's the next step? Is actually like
Right.
because all of the zombies aren't going to be turning all at once, so they're going to go out. So is the idea is going out and finding and making human connections with other zombies?
And that would have to
I
be
know.
part of it, I would think.
I mean, that's part of a little bit more of getting out of depression is to get more friends, right? Talk to somebody about it.
That they leave the city finally, and
The stadium.
yeah, the stadium. Sorry. And then what happens after that?
I mean, I would want him to tell me more about why the plague happened.
How or what caused it?
Yeah.
Well, that's the prequel. They have a prequel novel, right?
There's a novella
Right.
that's like before things happened.
Some bad doctor lady.
Bad doctor lady?
I was saying, what puts you in a depression? A bad breakup? So let's blame it on
Well, I don't think it was that all the zombies were
No,
depressed. I'm just saying, like,
Well, if we're to believe this first book, we have to believe that love conquers all. So that would have to be held through to the end of the series, I would think.
I would think. I hope. I hope that is accurate for the series and for life in general.
Well, yes. Well, it was for the first book because that was kind of the point.
Mhm.
You know, that was the jump start that apparently,
I'm sure that's why I loved it so much. I think that's a dearly held belief that I like to live by.
Mhm.
We can probably, unless you have.
I don't have anything like I don't analyze things as deeply.
I mean, I
as
know for
most,
you it's
so-
been a little while because you read it a little while ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I finished it a while ago.
Yes.
And it is a short book.
Tom
It's
has
only
too, right?
What?
How long ago did you finish it?
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It's
Let me
only
look.
239 pages.
Well, chances are I'll probably go through it again later. So I'll be rereading it for the stuff that I missed. But I do want to pick up the rest. Since she already has them, I will be reading the rest of the series.
You know, although it was that, because to me, 230 something pages
Not
sounds
much.
pretty short. No, it's not much, but it didn't feel to me like it wasn't enough. Like, I think if that had been the only book, I think he wrapped it up very nicely.
Mhm.
And it didn't leave me feeling like, this book is too short or anything like that. I don't know. I thought the whole thing was like super impressive.
I believe it was just in how simple everything was put, like how like everything was broken down to the basics, and you still got the information you needed out of that. So it wasn't like it didn't need to be elaborate.
Okay, do we want to do?
Well,
Go
wait.
ahead.
One of the things that I mentioned at the beginning was his world building and such, and when he was talking about how the zombie society is structured, they still have worship, they still have families, quote unquote, they still have sex.
Sort of.
Sort of.
No, but I just thought that was interesting that it's like they're going through the motions essentially.
Right.
It's like signs of life are there, but
like leftover feeling, like automated bits of humanity.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's like even in the movie, the one thing I noticed is in the airport with the guy with the wand. He's it's like people would come through, he was just automatically.
He's just waving the wand,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah. So.
Did you watch the movie?
I did.
I was.
In the time between we were here before, and now, yes, I have watched the movie. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I assumed you hadn't watched it yet. Okay.
Well, go ahead.
So that opens a little bit more up, I think. To me, the book had a much more serious tone, whereas the movie was a bit more lighthearted, and I think they were targeting a younger demographic, and they made it more about like a zombie rom-com and
Wow. Yeah.
Was it comedic?
What?
Was it comedic?
Yeah, there were definitely funny parts in it.
Okay.
Yeah, there were. But one thing I did notice is like every so often, the actress they got to play Julie is like, God, she reminds me of Robin Wright circa The Princess Bride. The blonde, blue-eyed sort of look. But the thing that struck me as differently is how, well, number one, how the hell did they get John Malkovich for this? And number two, they have him survive at the end, which I thought was an interesting call.
Yes. Yeah, that was a surprise to me
As Julie's
when
dad.
I read the book.
Yeah. Mom hasn't mentioned it at all, really. She
wasn't, because like that's where we thought John was crossing his lines.
No.
Because At some point, he said something to me about.
I thought she died, and Dad had to put her down like the usual zombie.
No, you
bit,
thought
but-
that she had turned into a zombie,
Right.
And yeah.
Oh, are you talking about the book?
That was never
Apparently,
mentioned
that
in the
never
book.
happened at all.
Not in the movie, no.
No, I don't remember that being in the book.
And I understood that she was like one of those bohemian types, and she just got fed up with life in the city and said, "Look, I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore." And then she
Right,
watched
she
and
just took off.
disappeared into the city. Yeah,
Right.
So,
But I had to re-listen to this part, like reread it, because
mhm.
I was listening and reading. Because Nora tells R, well, she introduced you to her mom. That's a big deal. And I was like, wait, when did that happen? What happened? Is this lady still alive? And so I reread it, and they said, they said that they had found pieces of her body, and that was what was buried there.
Mm.
That,
I thought it was gonna be great.
she left, and she just took off one day, but she got attacked by the zombies, and
Right.
those were her remains, and that's what they put in the grave.
And clearly, that's where Julie gets her impetus from. Because she realizes the same thing.
All
But,
right.
No, I just think that the book was more, a little more complex
Mm-hmm.
in what it was attempting to do. I mean, I would have preferred more world building, like you did the first part, because the second part was okay, but it wasn't as good as the first part to me. Like, it wasn't quite as interesting. But then again, I could understand. Well, you can't. It's not. How should I put this? Once you said it, it's not new anymore, so you can't revisit it again. So how do you add on to what the reader already knows? So
In that case, it's just a matter of details.
right. But one other thing. Kudos to the audiobook narrator, who did a really good job with R, and you could tell as the novel progresses, his speech patterns become more and more quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for the movie, the two actors who played R and Julie were, well, especially R and M and the zombies, because they really sold it and they made it really believable in a sense that yes, these are zombies, but they're not the zombies that you're familiar with. They're a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm hoping he writes more. I mean, I know that this is like his big series in regards to what people are most familiar with as far as his work goes, but I know.
well, I think that's it. That's all he's written so far is this series. So,
But people keep asking him, "You're going to write more zombie stuff?" And he's like, "No, I never intended to write all this zombie stuff. It's just kind of how it came out." And I think he likes mixing ideas and having weird things, and so he wanted this original take on that hadn't really been done
I've
before.
done it. I've done. Here it is done. Next project.
Yeah, and so he has to keep saying like, "No, I'm not going to do vampires. I'm not going to do zombies. It's going to be something completely different."
No leeches, no vampires.
So, do you want to do? Oh, the other thing that's funny is that he lives in like Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we know so many people over there that I feel like I heard about him through the people we know because maybe that he's from Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about all that.
Okay. Also, well, I just thought it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have final thoughts?
Who are you asking?
John.
Warm Bodies is a series. Read more. I mean, I don't. Outside of just, I really enjoyed it. Like, is this where I give my rating to?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm really caught between 4 and 5 stars. But 4 is 4. I'm gonna go down to 4 just because that's the base. I can't justify the 5 quite yet, but
All right, so it's 4.5.
Yeah. But Goodreads doesn't let me do halves.
Yes, I know. But I put that whenever I do that, I put that in the review and says 4.5 stars rounded down to 4.
That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah. That way, if you're reading the review, you'll know.
I mean, if you read the review, but if you go ahead and just give them the 5 stars, then you're rounding it out for somebody else. That's just how about let's just treat it like decimals, just round up, right? And it's just give them the 5
Is it
stars.
a 4 or a 5, John?
4.5.
So a 4 then. This is a discussion.
Just because that there is so much more meaning in each little tidbit than I have. I really do appreciate that in any writing. Like if there's something I read and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, this goes there, this fits, and I can actually see threads drawn from one place to another. That's impressive to me. And then to find out there's more that I missed is even better.
Tom, your thoughts?
Here's one of the reasons why I like this book. I'll read another quote that I picked up here. We were fearful in the best of times. How could we cope with the worst? So we found the tallest walls and poured ourselves behind them. We kept pouring until we were the biggest and strongest, elected the greatest generals, and found the most weapons, thinking all this maximalism would somehow generate happiness, when nothing so obvious could ever work. And that's one of the reasons why I like this novel, because like I said, it is so well written. I give it 4. Like I said, the beginning was really, really interesting to me, and then about halfway through the book, I don't know, it not that it devolved into like more of an action book, but I don't know, it lost something in that transition to me.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Yeah.
For me, I gave it a 5. I just felt like it was so well written, and there were so many places to highlight quotes, and I just love the way he makes you think about things and the way the words he uses. I know there was a part where he was talking about how they were capable of language or what they were missing, and he starts talking like about the grammar of it. And I thought that was like a really, really beautiful excerpt. Something about ellipses and commas and periods, and but I do give it 5 stars. And again, like John already said, Warm Bodies is a series, so pick up the other ones.
Show your support, guys. He deserves it.
Yeah, definitely beautifully written. So next month, I had it up, but I don't have it up anymore. So.
We're doing Christmas stories that are not the Christmas Carol. If you wish to read the Christmas Carol, by all means, please do. But we're doing 3 different stories, 2 modern and 1, I think, from the 60s. The 2 modern ones are The Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Backman and Bloody Christmas by Queeve McDonald. I've read the latter's work. I've read Bachman, but McDonald's an Irish writer that I've written. I've read like 2 or 3 of his novels so far in one series, and they've all been really good. So I can only imagine that this would be good as well. And the last one is A Child's Christmas in Wales by Dylan Thomas. So they're all pretty short.
So that's what we'll be reading for the month of December. If you'd like to join us, the Goodreads group link will be in the description below. So hop on over there just to kind of check out the discussions we're having. And you'll also be notified of what the books are that we're reading, and you'll have an opportunity to vote on them as well. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll join us next time. And even if you don't read all the short stories, you can pick one and hop in and join us. So thanks for joining us, Tom. Thanks for joining us, John. Have a nice night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.